What if I told you there's an effect inside of your brain that has been used by the most high-level entrepreneurs and athletes all over the world to get richer and get more achievements? And today I'm going to talk about it and explain it. So as you all know my story, last summer, dead fucking broke, no money in my bank account, and then in a matter of few short months, I went from making zero money to making a few thousand, 10K, 20K, and now 30K a month with digital products. And a big role that has played in this achievement, in this big feat of mine, was the winner effect. Now it's a really niche down concept that has been taught me by my first mentor, Damir. He's probably now watching this video, but he explained to me this concept. It actually shifted my mindset so much. I actually started to scale my business to past 10K a month and now doing 30K a month. So the first study that I want to use to explain this concept is a tennis match study. I'm not going to get nerdy and shit, but I'm going to explain to you by this use case and analogy. So in a tennis match, there was a set of a tiebreaker. So the two players played a really, really close set. They battled through this set. And the winner that won by a small, slim chance, after that win, it got a 60% boost of winning the next set as well. And the loser, his chances went down to 40%. The next study is a tube test study. So they took a tube and put two rats in. And rats want to have personal space, and they start to push each other out of the tube. And the winner that has pushed the loser out got a big boost in confidence and aggression. And when they took another rat and put it inside of the tube, the winner won again because it got a big boost. And the winner effect is essentially that. It's your brain getting a boost of confidence, dopamine, and testosterone to make winning easier. Now, winning makes winning easier, and success breeds success. That's a simple concept. So, I'm going to explain to you how you can incorporate it right now into your brain. But before that, I'm gonna teach you some few key mindset shifts and concepts that I want you to think about constantly and ingrain them into your mind and into your brain. So the first concept is the ITFT and ATFT. So let's say your brain has two big lists. The first list is called the ITFT, the inability to follow through list. The second list is the ATFT, the ability to follow through list. And day to day, when you wake up and when you say you're gonna do X thing and you don't do it, your brain puts it and writes it down in the ITFT list, the inability to follow through list. And if you wake up in the morning and you say to yourself you're gonna go to the gym, and you go to the gym, your brain writes that down as the ATFT list, the ability to follow through list. It writes it down in that list. And the key concept here that I want you to understand is that day to day in your life, you need to stack more ATFTs than ITFTs. I'm gonna tie this concept back and forth into later in the video, but then I want to explain to you something that has social media and society has been programming you in a bad way. And that is that big wins are the only thing that matters. Now that is not correct. If you're a person that has been losing its entire life, like being a loser guy, being a broke guy, not doing anything significant, if you hear this shit, that you need to get a big win by 20s, by your 30s, like become a millionaire by your 20s, that's a really shitty mindset that you don't want to have as a broke guy that hasn't been doing anything significant. Now that advice is good for a guy that has been doing the good shit for a long period, like myself. When I hear people and kids and teens and young guys being millionaire by their 25s, that puts urgency on myself. But that's because I'm already winning. I'm already making a lot of money. And I understand that. But if you're a broke guy that hears this shit, you're gonna get really, really discouraged. And you need to understand, to shift your mindset, to shift your brain, you need to stack small wins before you stack the big wins. So how that works is, over a long period of time, let's say 2 to 3 years, if you're constantly stacking the small wins, in the end, you're gonna get extraordinary results, which are actually the big wins. That's how you shift your identity, shift your self-image. That's how your brain changes. So, The next concept you need to understand before I give you the actionable steps is that your word needs to be law. Your brain and you need to have a really, really tied down bond of trust. If you don't have that trust, you can't get to big wins. You can't get to big wins. You can't discipline yourself without trust. So how do you build trust? Is by having your word be law. In your brain, your word needs to be law. So what that means is, if you go down to bed, you went to sleep, and you think about tomorrow, I'm gonna wake up at 7, and then I'm gonna do 50 cold calls, send out 100 emails, cold outreach emails. I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna eat this thing. And if you wake up in the morning and you don't follow through on the things that you said you're gonna do, that's you basically destroying trust with your brain and programming your brain to losing. And you can't let that happen. You need to stack the ATFT list. You need to wake up in the morning and tell yourself, I'm gonna do X thing, and you actually go and need to do it. No excuses. That's how you make your brain listen to your commands. Your brain needs to be like just a mediator between you and doing the actual, like doing the tasks and actions. And your mind, your words, your thoughts need to be the law, need to be the command that gives to your brain the command to do the shit. When you think to yourself, right now after this video, I'm gonna go to the gym, that's a command. If your brain doesn't listen to it, that's terrible. You need to tell yourself you're gonna do X thing, and you need to go and do it. You need to teach your brain that it can't listen to anything other than your words and other than your thoughts and commands. Your word needs to be law. Understand this. The next concept, you need to change. You need to change constantly. You can't be the same person. Now, social media and the society has been telling you that, oh, you can't change. You need to stay the same. You can't let money change you. But that's bullshit advice. If you don't change, if you stay a guy that hasn't been doing anything significant, anything productive, anything good in their life, you're gonna stay in that position if you don't change. Do you understand that concept? You need to constantly be fucking changing. I'm changing constantly. Like when I started to make money, of course I changed, because I got a big boost in confidence, big boost in my like dopamine. I got addicted to the work. I changed a lot. The only thing in my mind that matters is the work, because I got addicted to it, because I changed. If I stayed the same person from 2022, I wouldn't be in this position. I wouldn't be teaching you this shit. I stay the same person. Don't let people tell you that you cannot change. You need to fucking change. You need to change every 6 months. If you don't look back upon yourself 6 months ago, if you don't think that guy was a fucking dumbass, you haven't changed a lot. You need to change a lot. You need to constantly be fucking evolving. I talked about this in I believe my last video. In business, if you're not learning, growing, and evolving, you're gonna stagnate and you're gonna go down. When I tell you a story, when I started making my money, when I got to like 10K, I believe, I was like thinking I'm the man, like I'm the smartest guy in the world, I'm the best guy in digital products niche, I'm just the smartest guy, I'm the best. And that's when I stopped growing and learning, because I thought I'm the best. If you think you're the best, you can't learn from anybody else because you think of them as below you. And that's terrible fucking advice. You can't let that happen to you. And when that happened to me, when I started stagnating because I wasn't learning this, because I thought I'm the best in the world, my business, my income started to go down. And that's when reality hit me. I got a reality check from God himself. And I'm not the best guy. I need to be learning. In business, constantly learning is the way to get rich. If you stagnate, it's gonna be a period of you stagnating at like 10K a month. And then after some time, it's gonna go down because you're stagnating. You're gonna go down. You're not learning, you're not growing. And business and like entrepreneurship and like all of the niches that you're doing, e-commerce, subscription, it constantly fucking changes. Every day there's new shit to learn. Every day there's a new AI tool you can use to get even more money into your bank. Shit is constantly changing. You need to be up to date. You need to be a changed person every 6 to 12 months from now. Understand that. Now, before you indulge into the actionable steps I'm gonna give it to you, you need to adapt your environment for winning. I talked about this in my last video, but your environment is everything. If you don't surround yourself by the people that are gonna put you on the right path to winning, if you don't surround yourself by people that are already winning, or at least trying to win, trying to do something significant, and you're gonna become one of, like, you're gonna be the same as them. And there's that saying that if you put yourself in a room of 4 people, like 4 broke guys, you're gonna become a broke guy as everybody else. That's completely true. But the same is true otherwise. If you put yourself in a room of 4 rich guys, eventually you're gonna become rich, because your brain, your ego can't comprehend being lower class or lower, like below the people that you surround yourself with. So if you can't eliminate the people from your life physically, please do it digitally. So if you're in your life, you have shitty family members that are giving you bad advice, that are giving you limiting beliefs, if you can't cut them off, at least surround yourself by the right people in the digital world. Now this sounds really fucking nerdy, but it's true. You need to surround yourself by the content, by the inputs, by the thoughts, by the advice, by the actionable steps, by the right people, like my fucking self, like Charlie Morgan, like Alex Hormozy. All of these people are good inputs for yourself. Surround yourself by them. Listen to their advice, not the advice of people you don't want to become like. That's the prerequisites for getting the winner effect started in your brain. So, the first step, you need to stack wins from the moment you wake up. Now, when you wake up, when you set the goals the night before, that you're gonna wake up at X time, you're gonna do X shit, you need to actually listen to that word as command. You need to stack the wins. You need to wake up at that time. You need to eat the right food. You need to do the right productive tasks about your business. So let's say you told yourself you're gonna do 50 cold calls. And you went out there and did the 50 cold calls. Even though the cold calls are fucking shit and you didn't close anyone, at least you went out and listened to your thoughts as commands. At least you build the trust with your brain. That's good. Even though you technically lost by not closing anyone on the cold calls, you gotta win inside of your brain psychologically. And that's important to triggering the domino effect of the winner effect. So, if you lose in these moments, so let's say you're doing the 50 cold calls and you didn't close anyone, you can't focus on those losses. You can't focus on the things that like, okay, I didn't close anyone on these 50 cold calls. You can't let your brain only focus on that. Now, of course, I talked about taking responsibility and accountability and learning from the mistakes. Of course, you need to do that. You need to do your due diligence of learning from the mistakes you made on those 50 cold calls. But at the end of the day, at the end of the week, if you're actually, again, thinking about the losses of those cold calls, about the leads and clients you lost, that's gonna put you on a bad path to not winning, because your RAS, your reticular activating system in your brain, if you focus on the losses, your brain is gonna chase the losses. It's actually fucking crazy. But if you focus on the losses, your brain is gonna chase the feeling of that loss, because your RAS is constantly focused on you being a dumbass and being a loser, and you can't let that happen. You learn from the mistakes and move on. Now, the second step, this ties into the thing that I just spoken about. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, you need to write down your 3 biggest wins. What did you do that day? That's a big win. So let's say it's unordinary for you to go to the gym or do 50 cold calls. That's a big win. For your self-image, for your identity, that's a big win. And you need to write that down. You need to focus on those wins. Focus your brain on that. You need to tell your brain, we did that shit today. We did that. It's a win. It's a big win for us. And then, when your brain gets the dopamine from doing the right shit, it's gonna get addicted to it. That's when you hear people on social media saying, I'm addicted to the game, I'm addicted to the work, I'm addicted to the business. That's because when they stack these wins, like let's say I made 2K today in sales, my brain is gonna get dopamine release from that. It's gonna try to chase that feeling every day from now on because it wants to get that dopamine again. Your brain is really addictive. It has an addictive personality. It gets really addicted to dopamine. It's the best feeling your brain can have. When you get addicted to the work, to your wins, it's gonna be really easy to keep winning and keep being disciplined because your brain is addicted to it. That's how TikTok and Instagram fucking Reels work. When you scroll down the TikTok page, the Instagram page, brain is constantly getting the dopamine releases. Now you know about this concept. But how that works is when you get the dopamine release, your brain gets addicted to it. That's why it gives you excuses every day. Oh, let's go on a pause. Let's put down this work and let's throw some Instagram to free up my mind. Let's say that's the excuse. That's because your brain is addicted to the dopamine from the Instagram page, not because it wants to rest. Your brain doesn't rest when it plays video games or like scrolls Instagram. You're not resting. If you put yourself on a brain scan and looked at the frequencies and the scans in your brain signals going up and down because of the dopamine and all the emotions the Instagram Reels has been sparking up, your brain is not resting. It's just using a good excuse, and it pushed your buttons in the right way to get you into that dopamine again. That's why you need to replace the bad habits with the good habits, so your brain gets addicted to the good habits and not the bad ones. So let's say you're going to the gym. You have this period of time where you're skinny and you get a big boost in gains, a big boost in your weight, you look better, and that's when your brain gets a really big dopamine spike. And your brain gets addicted to the gym. That's why that happens. You get big gains early on in your journey of gym, and that's when your brain gets addicted to it. You can't stop going to the gym because your brain is chasing that feeling of seeing yourself with a pump, with your chest pump, of seeing yourself pushing weights, of seeing yourself pushing war weights, pushing PRs and shit. Your brain gets addicted to it. You need to understand this concept and look at all of your bad habits and look at how your brain is addicted to it and need to remove them and replace them with something better. So, the third step is to push. Now, I talked about me getting complacent when I was making 10K a month. You can't let yourself get into that position. You need to constantly pushing for more. Let's say you went from broke to 5K a month. You can't get complacent in that situation. You need to push for the bigger goals. That's why you see on social media people with hundreds of fucking millions of dollars, people at 70 years old still making money because they are addicted to it. They can't stop. They have been winning for such a long time. Their brain can't stop winning. That's why you need to push. You can't stay in the same place for the entirety of your life. You can't stay in the same place. You constantly need to be pushing for bigger goals. You've probably heard about this on social media, but I want you to pair the big goals with the winner effect. When you connect those two, it's gonna be really fucking easy to stay disciplined and stay in your shit 24/7. Now the fourth step, as I talked about, your trust is everything. Your trust is the fundamentals of the house of your life you're building. It's the fundamentals. Without trust, you can't get to the big wins. Right now, if my business went to fucking shit, if my income went down to zero, if I went to broke and to debt again, my brain still trusts me so much, it's not gonna get any anxiety from it. It's not gonna get sad because it trusts me, because I put in so much work over the years and over this period of time that I'm capable of making money. Why my business went to shit, my brain wouldn't be bothered because it knows, oh, this guy is really competent and he's gonna make this money back in a short period of time because he's competent, because my brain trusts me. That's how I stay disciplined. That's how I still go and work and make money day to day, even though I have a lot of money and I don't need to work for the rest of this year, for the rest of like 2 to 3 years from now. I don't have to work. I can like put my hands up and my legs up in the air and don't have to work for the next 2 to 3 years and then start my business back up, and I would be okay. But I'm not gonna do that because I'm addicted to the work. I can't stop working. I can't fucking stop going every day on my laptop, making even more money, learning, talking to other people, talking to my mentor, sharing my knowledge, sharing my value. That's how you need to do it. So, the fifth and last thing that you need to understand, and please don't become a retard. Don't become the guy that thinks he's the smartest. You're not the smartest, you're a dumbass, as everybody else. All of us are the same. Don't become a retard thinking they're the best. That's the fastest fucking way to blow your life to pieces. Especially if in business, if you're a beginner in business, and let's say like you're doing a e-commerce store for like 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks that you've been doing the store, you suddenly get like $1,000 of sales in one day. That's a really short period of time of you putting in the inputs, putting in the small wins, and then getting a big win. But that's bad because your brain hasn't built the trust it needs in that short period of time. That's why you see lottery winners that are losers their entire life and they win the lottery out of nowhere. They got these millions of dollars. And because their brain doesn't trust them, their brain indulges them into bad habits. That's how you have all these fucking stories on YouTube of people winning the lottery and spending all of that bullshit on cocaine or like hookers and drugs, because their brain is addicted to the bad habits and is just using money as a tool to get to those bad habits and get to that dopamine again. Because their brain doesn't have trust in them, doesn't trust them. That's why you see people, beginners in business that make a lot of money really fast, also blow it really fast. And they get discouraged and they never come back. That's why you need to have the period of suffering that I talked about in my second video, I believe. You need to be suffering. You need to have a period of suffering, because that's when you build the most trust with your brain. You build the most trust when you're in as much pain as possible. When you've been working all day for 10 to 12 hours, and in the end of that day, you tell your brain, right now we need to go to the gym. That's what I did in the last summer. I was working to 10 to 12, 15 hours a day, and then at the end, I told myself, I gotta go to the gym. I went to the gym. I built my trust so strongly, I built that bond so strongly that now my brain trusts me 100%. When I tell myself, after this video, I'm gonna do X thing, I'm gonna go do it, and my brain is not gonna give me excuses because it trusts me. It knows that it's gonna get a dopamine release in the end, by the good habits, of course. So don't become a retard. Please rewatch this fucking video, rewatch everything, write everything down, and start implementing these steps, please. And the last step is to follow me on fucking Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. I share my life, my story, my images and shit. It's really interesting, so follow me. Also send me a message. We can connect, share some business value. We can talk there and more. And you can also give me ideas on my next videos. So I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope you implement this correctly and start fucking winning. Have a nice day, bro.